All the while, the man grows weaker and more fragile.
Looks like Cactus Man's cousin, bro. Look at this dude. What the heck?
Later, in the void.
What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Savvy, and welcome back to the Savvy Show. And like clockwork, we got another SCP animation from Dr. Bob, guys. I'm excited. This is SCP-1500, body-changing plant disease. So this one seems, what was that SCP? It was another plant-based SCP. The Song of Genesis, that SCP, where it was more so with music, and then you turn to like some plant anomaly creature thingy, but it gave me vibes from that, plus another SCP that's not coming to mind right now. However, hopefully this is a decent kind of SCP, nothing like basic. Hopefully it has something cool about it besides being just a plant disease. Hopefully it has like a cool origins or something dope about it. But with that being said, I'm sure the animation, like always, will be top tier. It's Dr. Bob, guys. So with that being said, if you guys are excited for this reaction, please remember to smash that like button, also smash that sub button, and hit that bell so you can stay plugged for each and every upload. And with that being said, there's nothing left to be said, man. Let's get this show started. Alrighty, SCP-1500, body-changing plant disease. Lego.
A man is lying in a hospital bed, and it is clear that he is not doing well. A group of doctors buzz around him performing various tests, checking his vital signs again and again. The man feels weak and a little disoriented, and the looks on the various doctors' faces tells him all he needs to know. Something is very wrong with him.
He looks
Finally,
green,
there is a break in the commotion, and the doctors stop prodding at him and peering into his eyes with a bright, blinding light. All of the doctors and nurses leave the room except for one. The doctor steps towards the man and tells him that he has some bad news. You see, before the doctor can finish, someone else emerges from the shadows in the corner of the room and taps him on the shoulder. I'll handle this. The man hadn't noticed this person, but he can see now that he's dressed in a suit, and unlike the doctors, he doesn't have any identifying items like a name tag or badge. Maybe he's some kind of professor, or a renowned surgeon who is going to tell him how they will make him better.
Okay, I got the surgeon part, but professor, bro? Why would a professor see you on your deathbed, man? Well, you don't know that. Actually, we don't really know that. I'm just assuming, but we shall see.
The doctor steps back from the bed, but the man in the suit tells the doctor that it would be best if he and the patient could be left alone. Just for a moment, of course. The doctor nods in agreement and leaves the room.
So tell me he's SCP?
The man in the suit waits until the door is closed behind him to continue. He tells the sick man that he has a rare condition, quite rare. So rare, in fact, that you're the only person to ever have it, the only recorded case in history. The man in the suit sits down on the bed next to the man and takes his hand, lifting it up, examining it.
If he's the only one that ever had in history, how do you know about it? Shouldn't it be a new thing to you and everyone else at the Foundation? Unless he's lying to him. But I don't think he is, because what's the point? So, I don't know. Let's see.
The man's hand is an odd color. It has a slight green tint to it, and the skin itself appears to be taking on a fibrous quality. The sick man feels very tired, but he manages to whisper, "Are you a doctor? Are you going to help me?" The man in the suit responds, "Yes, I'm a doctor. Of sorts. A doctor and a researcher. I work for a very important organization, and I specialize in cases just like yours. Well, not exactly like yours. You're unique. Quite special, in fact." The sick man offers a weak smile. "I'm very lucky." "Oh yes, very lucky indeed. Well, not because of your condition, of course, but because I am here. You see, if it's all right with you, we'd like for you to come with us, to come stay at one of our facilities for a while. We can't promise that we'll be able to figure out exactly what's happening or why. But if we can, we have a much better chance of figuring out how to cure it. To cure you, so you can go back to a normal life."
No, they want to contain you. Another lie from the Foundation, guys. Their job is not to cure these SCPs. Their job is to contain them so they will never come back or harm humanity. Doesn't matter if you're good or bad. So he's just buttering them up. Now we get what angle he's playing at.
"Do I have much of a choice?" the sick man asks. "Of course you do. It's completely up to you.
That was nice.
I think this would be your best course of action, your best by far, in fact. But we can't force you to do anything you don't want to do." The sick man looks down at his greenish hand again, turning it over in front of his face, examining the small growths that seem to be sprouting from his skin. "When do we leave?" "Right now," the man in the suit tells him. "The nurses will come get you ready, and then we'll be on our way." The man in the suit leaves the room and closes the door behind him. Standing next to the door in the hallway are a pair of men wearing tactical uniforms like a SWAT team. The man in the suit tells them that luckily they won't be needed today. This one is coming easy. The sick man lies on a bed.
What did I
now
say?
He is in a new room.
Oh my god.
This one is even more sterile than the hospital, with cold concrete walls and harsh fluorescent lights.
Bruh.
Just like in the hospital, he's surrounded by a seemingly never-ending cast of doctors, nurses, and researchers. They too poke and prod at him, take samples, and administer all kinds of tests. As time goes on, the man's condition only grows worse. It seems there's nothing that they can do to stop his condition from advancing.
Never was going to be
anything. The green
anything.
color spreads across his body, and his skin soon becomes woody and stiff. If he sits in one place for too long without moving, tiny fibers emerge from his skin, like probing roots looking for soil. All the while, the man grows weaker and more fragile.
Looks like Cactus Man's cousin, bro. Look at this dude. What the heck?
From his skin, like probing roots looking for soil. All the while, the man grows weaker and more fragile. Even the slightest movement seems to cause him great pain. The doctor who originally brought the man to the facility gathers with a small group in the observation room next to the man's containment cell. They discuss the results of a recent test, which showed that much of the melanin in his skin has somehow been replaced with chlorophyll, and that the fibrous quality of his skin is being caused by the appearance of cellulose around his cells. In other words, he isn't just starting to look like a plant. He's truly becoming a plant, and there doesn't seem to be anything they can do to stop it. Try as they might, they haven't found a single clue as to what is causing the man's condition, or how to treat it. The man, though, seems strangely at peace with his fate.
Wow.
He's told that they're going to allow him to live, whether that be as a man or as a plant in containment, for as long as he can stay alive, and that he will be well taken care of to make the whole process as comfortable for him as possible. Even though they failed to find a cure for his anomalous disease, they will do everything in their power to make sure he doesn't suffer. A tragic yet familiar tale for the...
Really? If that's true, then props to the SCP Foundation, because it kind of alluded to they were actually trying to find a cure for him. Maybe I should give him a little bit more credit, but I mean, it's probably just for the animation, to be honest.
Even though they failed to find a cure for his anomalous disease, they will do everything in their power to make sure he doesn't suffer. A tragic yet familiar tale for the SCP Foundation. A normal person is subjected to an abnormal situation that completely changes their life, and not for the better. At least in this situation, the Foundation appears to have shown a rare glimpse of their own humanity, opting to make this safe class anomaly's existence as painless as possible, rather than force it to endure a lifetime of painful tests and studies.
Keyword is rare. You don't see that often. That's why I was so surprised. I'm glad Dr. Bob noticed that too.
Or at least that's what you've been led to believe. Unfortunately, everything you've just seen about SCP-1500 is a lie. Those with level 3 clearance, though, can learn the truth.
I knew
which is that SCP-1500 is actually an extremely dangerous anomaly, whose true identity must be hidden from even the majority of the Foundation, for reasons you'll soon learn. SCP-1500 is not a man suffering from a condition that causes him to slowly transform into a plant-like being, but is actually a greenish-gray, smooth-skinned humanoid with no facial features at all. Its limbs are long and multi-jointed, and its abdomen is highly distended. The skin is exceptionally durable and tough, and though SCP-1500 has no visible sense organs like ears or a nose, it still appears to possess senses that are roughly equivalent to an average human's. The entity is incapable of speech, owing to its lack of a mouth, and it has not shown a need to eat, breathe, or sleep at all. In addition to the strange appearance of SCP-1500, its primary anomalous effect is the impact it has on any human that comes within its line of sight, or rather what would be its line of sight if it had any eyes. Those that do find that they will soon begin experiencing headaches, nausea, and an overwhelming sense of dread. These symptoms will increase over the next several minutes, with the headaches becoming more and more debilitating, and the feelings of nausea and fear growing until eventually the subject passes out. They will remain unconscious for roughly 15 seconds, after which they will awaken and claim to have no memory of ever being exposed to SCP-1500.
What? Hold on, let me hear that again.
But something else strange also happened, or rather, 500, its primary anomalous effect is the impact it has on any human that comes within its line of sight, or rather what would be its line of sight if it had any eyes.
Okay.
Those that do find that they will soon begin experiencing headaches, nausea, and an overwhelming sense of dread. These symptoms will increase over the next several minutes, with the headaches becoming more and more debilitating, and the feelings of nausea and fear growing until eventually the subject passes out.
Wow.
They will remain unconscious for roughly 15 seconds, after which they will awaken and claim to have no memory of ever being exposed to SCP-1500.
So it has mimetic properties.
But something else strange also happens to the subject after waking. When asked to describe the creature known as SCP-1500, they will no longer remark on its faceless head or long twisted limbs. Instead, they will describe the creature as being an average-looking Caucasian male. Even stranger is that to them, it now has a name. Zachary Callahan.
I thought they forgot their encounter with the SCP when they awaken. What?
In further interviews with subjects exposed to SCP-1500, it became clear that many of their memories had been reshaped to now include the entity in its human-looking Zachary Callahan form. They would often describe him as a close friend from childhood or early adulthood, and one that played a significant role in their lives. They also claim that they are perfectly capable of communicating with Zachary Callahan, able to carry on conversations with him, while all the observing researchers will see is an apparently one-sided conversation between the subject and the featureless gray-skinned creature.
Wow.
While Foundation personnel have found that they are able to remove the false memories from the subject's minds through the use of amnestics, they have yet to be able to reverse the effect that causes the subject to see SCP-1500 as a human being, and everyone who has been exposed continues to see the entity as Zachary Callahan forevermore. It is still unknown what kind of long-term effects this exposure may have, or how dangerous to their mental or physical health it will turn out to be. Even more concerning is that evidence has emerged that SCP-1500 may be able to affect more than just those in its immediate presence. Recently, a United States senator was giving a televised speech on a rather uninteresting topic. The speech started out normal enough, but then the senator began to relay an anecdote about a childhood fishing trip he had taken with a friend. You won't be surprised to learn that according to the senator, the friend's name was none other than Zachary Callahan.
What the
Investigations into the senator's background concluded that there was no person by that name of the appropriate age in the area where he grew up. It was also discovered the senator had suffered an especially bad migraine at a dinner party the week before the speech. Further research into SCP-1500's memory-altering effects have also revealed that they might just be more intrusive than first believed. Rather than simply appearing as an old friend, subjects exposed to 1500 have begun to report that Zachary Callahan actually played a much more prominent role in their lives, either as a close relative, a parental figure, or even a former lover. In each of these cases, the subjects described their feelings for Zachary Callahan as ones of adoration, and that he made them feel protected and loved. Most troubling of all is a recent addendum to the SCP-1500 file, which describes the very latest research on the anomaly and its effects. It is now estimated that as many as 23,000 people all across the world have been affected by the creature, with the idea of Zachary Callahan implanted into their memories. It is unknown why it is trying to spread its influence so far and wide, but one clue that may point to a nefarious purpose is that it seems to be disproportionately targeting political and military figures, as well as SCP Foundation personnel. Following these new developments, classification of SCP-1500 to Keter was requested and granted.
Dude, how far is his area of effect of his mind-warping abilities?
Due to the risk that SCP-1500 poses through its anomalous effects, and its powerful ability to influence those in positions of great power, it is permanently kept in a modified humanoid containment cell at Site-17. No personnel are allowed to enter into its containment chamber under any circumstances, nor are there security cameras in its cell. A false containment document describing a human male with an anomalous plant-like effect was placed in the database in order to deter further investigation into the real SCP-1500.
SCP's dangerous,
and any personnel who experience painful, persistent headaches are immediately transferred away from Site-17, while any who attempt to breach containment are immediately terminated. Is SCP-1500 planting the seeds for something big by infiltrating the minds of some of the most influential people on Earth? Or is it merely looking for a connection, as it takes on a form that it wishes it could have, in the only way it can, inside an imagination? Perhaps one day, we will know the answer. Now go and watch another entry from the files of Dr. Bob, like SCP-1500, the story of me and my best friend Zach, and the time we rode motorcycles across Southeast Asia.
What?
Wait a second. I didn't do that with Zach. Like
Dr. Bob! They almost got him. Holy shit, I didn't see that one coming. I was like, whoa, didn't we just watch this SCP? But anyway, man, the ending was actually kind of cool. where they kind of try to figure out why this SCP is doing this. I would hope to see maybe he's doing this because maybe that's his image that he has in his mind, and he wants people to see him as, you know, Zachary instead of what he looks like now. I really like how Dr. Bob, you know, brought that idea to light to us right here. I want to hear it again.
Infiltrating the minds of some of the most influential people on Earth? Or is it merely looking for a connection, as it takes on a form that it wishes it could have, in the only way it can, inside an imagination?
That's interesting. That part got me. Man, I'm going to read the file just because of that, because I really want to see if there's anything more to this. I really wish some of these SCPs have like their own like story, because most of these could just literally could be a movie or a series, and they could just build upon so much of the SCP. Oh man, that would just be awesome. But anyway, it is what it is. If you guys enjoyed this reaction, please remember to smash that like button. Also smash that sub button, join the family if not already part of it, and hit that bell so you stay plugged for each and every upload. And unfortunately, that concludes today's episode today. However, I'll catch you guys on the next one.